surely enjoyed that. And then in 1969, I was asked to be the secretary of the junior Sunday school. Oh, it was such a joy to be down there watching those little kids perform. They're so close to our Heavenly Father. Alvin Poole was superintendent at that time. And then Cleo and Joe Jensen were his counselors. Ma Dale was secretary of the Sunday school, senior Sunday school. And she, when she couldn't go to church, they asked me if I could do both jobs, which I did from August 71, or till August 1970 till December 1970. And then I was asked to be senior Sunday school secretary. And I held both jobs down for a while. And then they put Pauline Helm as junior Sunday school secretary. And Alvin Poole was released and Joe Jensen became the superintendent. I also worked under the secretary as Charles Miller, and Joe moved to Driggs. And then Charles moved to the Menands Second Ward, and Wayne Kepner became superintendent. Cleo had asked him in release because he was working shift work at the Fresh Pack, and he felt like that he wasn't attending all his meetings that he should do, and so he was released. Wayne's counselors were Sam Turman and Deloy Hammond, and what a choice experience I had working with these men and their calling. When Wayne Kepner was released, Bill Mercer and his was put in as the superintendent, and his counselors were Mark Barrett and Ernest Barnes. And these brethren were very humble in their calling, and I gained a lot of knowledge from them. I was released as secretary for my calling in 1975. And now, I'm going to do some hopping around because this is not going to be all in order that I probably should have had, but then I don't always do everything in order. I always hop around and do things. So this is what it'll be. Well, before I was married, I've got to tell you what happened in Roberts with Ath and I. Like I said, we always had a good time. Well, one night we decided to go to a show. We went to the show at the Rio Theater. And as we was going into the show, why, everybody kept saying, everybody was watching a picture. And there was no usher there, and so we kept move on, move on, move on. So Atha was going, and then Opal, and then myself. And so Opal says, sit. So Opal sat, Atha sat in the aisle. I sat in a seat that was broken. Now at that time, the dresses, you wore big full skirted dresses. I had this full skirt dress on, and 1 foot long leg went under the seat. One went up between a boy and a girl that was sitting very close together. And the kid says, what in the hell are you doing? I says, what the hell do you think I'm doing? I'm hanging up from my foot here and one down underneath. Well, we got to laughing, and everybody said, shh, shh, shh. Well, how could you shush when you had 1 foot up in the air and one down below? Opal looked at me, and he says, what in the world are you doing? And he said, Apple, where are you? And she said, where in the hell do you think I am? I'm out here in the aisle sitting down. Well, we got to laughing. And the usher came down. He says, you've got to be still. And he said to Apple, he said, what are you doing? She said, well, I thought there was a seat here. They told me to sit, and I did, and there wasn't one. Well, he helped her out. And everybody behind me and around me was laughing. Everybody was trying to help me. Well, finally, Opal went behind me and got his hands down underneath my arms and helped pull me up. And we found a place to sit, but every time we thought about that show, we got to laughing because that was quite a hilarious thing for me to do. They had a carnival in Idaho Falls, it was over on the riverbank where the motels are now. And Appa and I got in this here thing, and it was quite a bit like, it was one of these things, I'm not right sure what you call it, it's where you sit in it and they twirl you around over your head, you know. What do you call those things?
Tilt-a-whirl?
Tilt-a-whirl. Okay, here we are in this tilt-a-whirl. And we're going up over the air, and all I can see down below me is that water from the Snake River. And I opened my mouth to holler, and I clamped down on Atha's arm with her coat or jacket on, and I hung on for dear life. And she kept trying to get me to let her go. She said I was biting her. And I never opened my mouth because I was blessed scared. Well, I finally got down off of that, and I had bit her right through her coat. I felt bad about that, but that was it. And then I was wandering around in some musicals.
Yeah.
Oh, the
musical state fair?
Yeah, State Fair's a musical.
Mm-hmm.
It's in black and white, but I enjoyed it just as much anyway. So. Okay, you ready for me to go?
We're ready.
Do you have to have that thing pointed the other way?
No, that's fine.
No,
This doesn't matter.
that doesn't have anything to do with it. You ready to start me? Are we on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for Lord's sake, why didn't you say something? You just... Yeah.
That's why. Because I wanted to catch that.
Well, now I'm going to do some hopping because
That was a hammer that you were riding.
and that was a hammer I was riding instead of the Field-of-World. But I have never been on a hammer since, and furthermore, I don't plan on being on a hammer either. That's for darn sure. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, in 1972, July of 72, Darrell, Clay, and I left Manan. We took a little trip in our pickup and camper. Gosh, what fun we had to live. We left around 7:30 that morning and went to Wyoming. And then drove to Craig, Colorado, where we stayed in a KOA campground. And the next morning we took off to Rifle, Colorado, and went to Delta, Colorado. And in Delta, Colorado, they have great big cellars like we used to have, well, like we have here in Idaho for potatoes, only they store onions. They had onion fields after onion fields, we could see. Then from Delta, we went to Durango, and that's an old mining town. And then I'm going to have to spell this one. I don't know how to say it. It's capital T-E-L, capital C, then capital N-O-S, and capital P-A-S, Arizona. And it was quite the thing to see. I think it has something to do with the Indians. And then we stayed at a place that night that was called the Four Corners. That's where there's Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. And we took pictures where we put our hands in each one of the states and our feet in the other, and looked up and they took the picture, and we resembled quite well a good old-fashioned stink bug. That night, a gang of kids come on motorcycles, and they kept driving around and around and around, flashing their lights, and there was quite a few people there, but they were yelling, and the language they used was something to behold. And there was quite a few people pulled out, but a fellow come over to our camper and asked us if we was going to pull out. And we told him no. Leo said no, we're going to stay. So we locked up the camper good, and I was quite frightened because the kids in this gang, they were been drinking, and they were still drinking, but we said our prayers and asked Heavenly Father to watch over us. And finally they shut up and we got a few winks of sleep. But when it got light enough, we looked out and they were gone, but what a mess they made. And the Indians had come that morning and cleaned up everything and spread out Indian blankets. And they had jewelry and all their goodies that they like to sell to the tourists. And it was quite a sight to see. And the Indian, the men had their headdresses on with the long feathers and that. It looked like they were ready to go to war. I was glad we weren't in a war with them. But Darrell went over and he jewed them down and got a beautiful necklace for me. Then after breakfast we went to Tuba, Arizona. And we stopped at points along the way, and when we got hungry we stopped to eat. Then we went to the Grand Canyon, and that was really quite a sight to see. We took pictures of it, and Darrell got him a big hat, a big cowboy hat, and we just had a good time. But while we were in New Mexico, we went to the Aztecs ruins, and that was really something to see. We went into the ceremonial room where they performed the weddings, and you had to get down on your hands and knees and crawl through because the doorways were so low. But we enjoyed that. Then when we come out from the Grand Canyon, we went to Flagstaff, Arizona, and then to Phoenix, and they had a 6-lane highway through there. Darrell was driving, and I said, Darrell, honey, slow down a bit. And he says, I'm doing fine, Mother. And I said, that lady's going to throw something out the window. And she was on just, a little ways away from us, and a little bit ahead of us. And he said, what do you think it is? And I said, oh my, long in the Himmel, it's a diaper. Well, the guy that was speeded up to get ahead of Darrell, that got him right across his windshield. And here he was driving around like the idiot stick. It's funny we didn't have a chain reaction because everybody saw what he was doing, and we all started to try to do something. When we zigged, they zagged, and so we got out of it without having an accident. I said, if I could have got their license plates, I would have turned them in. And Daryl said, so would I. And I said, and I'll lay you 10 to 1, the guy who was driving that car would have done too.